So I'm at Barnes & Noble waiting for my girlfriend to get off work, and I'm sitting in the cafe reading Mary Poppins when a lady comes up to me asking if I could help her find books by P.L. Travers. I get why she asked me, but I've had a bad day and don't want to deal with people, so without even looking at her I just say I would prefer not to, which annoys her. She starts going off about how she's gonna get my manager and tell him I'm ruining products and refusing to help customers. So I tell her it's my personal copy, also the cover doesn't match the newer editions, and ignore her. She continues to get pissy and a manager comes by to see what's going on. She gives the whole spiel to the manager and demands he fire me, to which he gloriously replies, "I would prefer not to." The woman huffed off pretty quick after that, looking like we just shot her dog. Melville would be proud. A few years back I was at a big hardware chain store buying a power tool. I'm an electrician and I'm dressed like it. Now, employees in this place wear high-vis yellow, but so do a good portion of those coming in to buy stuff, like me. I'm undecided on the make of tool I want, so I'm reading up on the differences between a few, and an older guy next to me asks a question about his choice. "Guy, are the blades for this compatible with the Ryobi ones?" Me, just thinking he thinks I might know. "Dunno. What does the packaging say?" "It should have a list of blade codes it uses." "Guy, what code am I looking for?" Me, "No idea, mate, back to browsing." "Guy, that's not good enough." Me, still looking down at what I'm doing, reply jokingly, "Yeah. I've failed you." Guy, raising his voice, "Well, why don't you find out?" I look up and scowl. "What? Piss off. Find it yourself." Guy throws the tool onto the shelf and storms off. I think, what a tool, and go back to what I'm doing. A few minutes later I hear a voice a few meters away. "Store manager, he doesn't work here." That's a customer. I look up and Guy is standing all puffed up with the manager in tow, and I immediately realize that he thought I worked there and was trying to get me in trouble. I've worked in retail in my younger days and still carry some residual resentment toward customers, so my response just came out automatically. I looked at him and in the most disdainful soft tone just said "dickhead" and went back to browsing. The reaction from the two of them was quick but satisfying. The manager is pushing down a grin, the old guy deflates and looks utterly mortified. I'd feel bad, but the staff in those places aren't paid enough to have to deal with people getting them in trouble. The job sucks. Don't make it suck more. I'm a shift manager for a retail drugstore chain. We offer a variety of services. One is a wire transfer of money. So one night I have a customer, who we'll call Jane, who can only speak Spanish. She brought a friend along, but something happens where they get into an argument and the friend leaves. I barely know any Spanish. Took it in high school and failed. Jane is now irate that I can't help her. I get my phone and turn on Google Translate, but it doesn't work. Apparently Jane is illiterate. Just to clear the air, I hold no resentment against people who can't speak English in the US. Unless you know all the details about someone, you have no right to judge. Both my parents are Chinese immigrants and came to the US in their 30s barely speaking a word of English. Although they learned, they never truly mastered it. Quite often as a kid I had to translate or clear up what someone was saying. Jane starts yelling at every customer who passes asking if they speak Spanish. Most customers just run away, probably because of her attitude. Finally a customer, who we'll call John, gets flagged down and offers help. John asks Jane to please speak slowly and calm down. John tells me that he's a high school Spanish teacher. He teaches formal terms and Jane is using a lot of Colombian slang terms. John helps Jane finish her paperwork and translates as I'm walking her through the paying process. After Jane leaves I thank John profusely, telling him he's a lifesaver. John says no thank you. This was at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns. John explains that ever since the lockdown happened he hasn't had a chance to practice his Spanish, so this was a perfect opportunity. Anyone who speaks multiple languages knows that if you don't use it, you lose it. I give John a discount and a store gift card. John tells me that he gave Jane his number so he can help her learn English and hopes that she'll take his offer. I worked at department store in the mid-90s. We had to wear a red vest. This is relevant later. On my way home after work one day, I remembered that I forgot to pick up a few things. I stopped at a different department store. It was winter and I did not feel like taking my coat off to take my vest off, so I just zipped up my coat and went in. I was doing some shopping when a lady approached me and asked where something was. I said I don't work here, and she pointed to my belly. I looked down and part of my vest was showing. I unzipped my coat and showed her what company I worked for. She was embarrassed, smiled, and asked if I could help her. I was tired from working and said, fine, and took her to what she wanted. She thanked me, took my name, and said she would let my manager know next time she was at my store. I wrote it off as her just backpedaling as her way to end her embarrassment. Fast forward 2 weeks. My manager approached me and asked if helped someone at X. I told her what happened, and my manager was as shocked as I was and thanked me for stealing a customer from the competition. I just read through a bunch of stories, so I thought I'd share a couple. Nothing crazy, no cards, but funny to me. Back in the late 90s, I worked for a healthcare company in Atlanta. Our dress code was button-down, button-up, shirt, slacks and leather shoes. One lunch break, I ran into a Kroger to grab some lunch. I got distracted in the freezer section and I kept hearing someone say, "Excuse me." I turned around and it's a little old lady talking to me. I said hi, and then she asked me to retrieve something from on top of the freezers. I politely told her I didn't work here. Then she asked me why I was wearing a badge. I look at my shirt and realize I'm wearing a blue badge which looks very similar to the blue Kroger badges. I helped her out by finding an actual Kroger employee. Fast forward to 2018 and I'm doing the weekend dad fix crap in my house. I run to Home Depot to quickly grab something I needed. I'm in the irrigation section and I hear the voice, "Excuse me." I turn around and it's a lady asking me to help her cut some PVC pipe. I tell her that I don't work here and she says, "Why do you have a measuring tape attached to your belt?" Well, I had been measuring crap all day at home and I guess I forgot to take it off. I helped her find a real employee. We laughed about that one. A few years ago I used to work at a large grocery store in my hometown. I worked there for about a year before I had to quit due to a very abusive manager, but overall I enjoyed the experience. I was a clerk and cashier whose job varied between customer service, cleaning, and general busy work around the building. Not long before Christmas last year I had a really bad bout of insomnia and I hadn't slept in about 36 hours, but I had to go to the store to buy some groceries for the week. I go to the store and I start looking around for what I need, but I am very, very tired and can hardly remember what I am looking for. I noticed that a woman was looking confused between her list and the shelves, and I politely asked her if she needed help with anything. I directed her to the product she needed in another aisle, and I also got it off of the shelf for her as she was quite short. I then helped another lady get something off of a high shelf, and at that point I sort of dazed out and I forgot that I didn't work there anymore. I proceeded to spend the next 3 hours doing my old job. I would help customers find things. I grabbed a broom and swept half the aisles, and I even did about a half-dozen cart runs to bring in shopping carts which, due to the snow, were thrown haphazardly around the lot wherever the customers were when they got done with them. Eventually I started bagging groceries for customers at one of the registers when the cashier, a newer person who did not work there when I did, noticed I was not wearing a uniform and bluntly asked me what the fuck I was doing, and I really didn't have an answer for that. Eventually I just said to her, "Oh, right, I don't work here."